A historic trade deal, 2 billion people, one-third of global trade, and yet Washington is seething. The European Union and India have finally sealed the long-awaited free trade agreement, a pact 20 years in the making. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called it a partnership that will strengthen stability in the international system at a moment when global order is anything but stable. Tariffs on 97% of EU exports to India will be slashed, promising up to $4.75 billion in annual duty savings. Cars, duties fell from 110% to 10%. Wine, down to 20%. Chocolates, pasta, processed foods, gone entirely. The deal is expected to save nearly $4.75 billion annually, reshaping commerce across Asia and Europe. But beyond trade, the deal signals a seismic geopolitical shift. The EU sees India as a strategic anchor, a partner in defense, technology, and supply chain security. India becomes only the third Asian nation, after Japan and South Korea, to secure such a security partnership with the European bloc. Washington has already slapped India with 50% tariffs on key goods, stalling talks on a US-India trade deal. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has criticized the India-EU pact for indirectly helping finance Russian oil flows, arguing that Europe and India are benefiting while the United States shoulders the cost of confrontation with Moscow.
The U.S. has made much bigger sacrifices than the Europeans have. We have put 25% tariffs on India for buying Russian oil. Guess what happened last week? The Europeans signed a trade deal with India.
Senator Ted Cruz's recent comments hint at a deeper division within Team Trump, even as Vice President J.D. Vance reportedly resisted an Indian trade deal. Meanwhile, Canada sees the India-EU pact as a perfect answer to global hegemons who weaponize tariffs and economic integration. In recent weeks, Trump threatened to impose 10% tariffs on products from 8 European, NATO and EU countries, unless they agreed to his demands around Greenland, the vast Arctic island and strategic military and resource importance. The tariff threat would rise to 25% by June if his terms were not met, a move that European leaders described as coercive and unprecedented among allies. The cause of the escalation? Trump's insistence that the US should have greater control or influence in Greenland, dismissing European objections and trying economic penalties to political acquaintances. European leaders responded with alarm, calling the tariff threat a mistake that undermines transatlantic cooperation and risks a dangerous downward spiral in relations. You see, for Europe, this deal is more than economics. It is a strategic hedge, a diversification from reliance on Washington or Beijing. For India, it boosts manufacturing, expands services, and positions New Delhi as a global supplier and partner, not just as a consumer. Prime Minister Narendra Modi emphasized the broader vision, with the EU deal complementing agreements with Britain and the European Free Trade Association. India now sits at the heart of a global economic network. EU President Ursula von der Leyen echoed the sentiment. A strong, successful India strengthens global stability, prosperity, and security. A quarter of the world's economy, one-third of trade, and a blueprint for a fractured world to engage differently. And yet, the United States, once the unchallenged center of global trade, risks watching from the sidelines as Europe and India redraw the map. The question now is, will the United States recalibrate, or will Trump's tariffs and brinksmanship leave Washington sidelined in a new transatlantic order? Bureau Report, India Today Global.